this tie a little bit more. And hello, everybody. We are live everywhere now on all links. Uh, we are, folks, check this out. 8 weeks from today, we will be seeing the Bucks and the Dallas Cowboys in the in the Super Bowl. Week 1 Thursday night football. Today's Thursday. Exactly 8 weeks, everybody. I cannot wait. I tell you, it's been a pretty much a slow news day. Only kidding, right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. Again, 56 days away from NFL Week 1. Deshaun Watson, Adam Schefter made a good point the other day. The Eagles, would the Eagles be a legitimate landing spot? They certainly have the pieces. The Philadelphia Eagles for Deshaun Watson. Nobody's brought that up. I'll explain that. And Aaron Rodgers. The odds markets. This is not my opinion. This is not some other sports caster's opinion. These are Las Vegas odds markets I've got from OddsShark, which takes it from this is Vegas. And they both say that Aaron Rodgers nor Deshaun Watson will play in 2021. The odds are heavily favored against Rodgers not playing in 2021. We'll get to that. Also, the finals, of course. I'll touch on the finals a little bit. The Carolina Panthers, Brady playing with a torn MCL and it not getting out. But first, the dark side of fame. If you're a football fan, if you stay on the internet like I do, social media, yesterday you heard about what happened with Richard Sherman. Sherman has got a whole, just a sluther of charges now that he has got. Burglary, DUI, criminal trespassing, and and also malicious mischief and resisting arrest. Apparently, there was some issue, and he also contemplated suicide, according to his wife in a 911 call. But the whole world knows about this stuff now. This is the dark side of fame. I mean, this guy gets has probably the worst day of his life on Tuesday night going into Wednesday morning. And he goes on this rampage somewhat. But my point is, we all, as fast as the internet is now, Pickles, it's really sad, man. I tell you, it's the dark side of fame now since we have live streaming. Twitter is so quick. The guy was booked early Tuesday morning, and the 911 call of all of his personal life is on at that night. I've never heard one that quick. Maybe we've had others. I couldn't imagine, Pickles, if we had social media back in '94 during the OJ trial or during the OJ case, the chase. Excuse me. But I listened to that 911 tape, and his wife is saying the guy's suicidal. He's threatening to hang himself. I mean, he's very, very drunk. And, you know, this 911 operator is so nonchalant. And and I'll say this, at minimum, that 911 operator to talk to Miss Sherman she should be retrained at minimum and suspended for that. The way she was so unempathetic, showed no lack of empathy. That was very unprofessional. And but it goes to show you, no matter what these guys make, that they're human just like me and you are, Pickles. Sherman has made anywhere from $65 to $80 million in his career. I looked this up yesterday. I would lean towards 65 million because of the taxes and agent fees. But that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. But it just goes to show you what we've talked about before with the tennis player, Pickles. I told you guys about the semi-pro baseball player shot himself. Mental health, depression can hit anybody, no matter how much money you got. He's coming up towards the end of his career, and we don't know if she may have filed for divorce. Everything has come to fruition, but it tells you the dark side of fame. No matter how much you make it and do well, you have a bad day like that, and you want to get over it, and yeah, you bower with the Dodgers, but hopefully he'll be able to get himself some help. Now he's probably going to face league discipline. He's still got a few years left. I think that he would be a guy that would be a good nickel type of player, possibly a safety. John Lynch, who used to brought him into the 49ers, has reached out to him under concern. But he's she tried to fight this girl's uncle, his wife's uncle. It was just a bad, sad situation. And I'll tell you what, you hope that the guy can get everything worked out. But in other news, I told you guys this Tuesday that a month before Pickles, the season, the training camp starts, you get these arrests. And a month, within a few weeks after the season comes about, then you get other arrests. Dwayne Haskins' girlfriend is in trouble. Frank Clark, I mentioned him the other day with his gun charges. I was looking at the Pickles. Now that I've got the serious part, now I can go back to the funny stuff. I was looking at the ESPN top storylines, right? And this is from yesterday. Sherman in custody for domestic violence case. Mingo's lawyer, for his arrest, scolds Falcons. Martavius Mingo from his scolds Falcons for post-arrest cut. Report Chiefs Clark faces felony weapons charges. Is this a rap sheet, Pickles, am I reading, or is this the NFL headlines? And Dwayne Haskins' girlfriend on the 4th of July assaulted him, and now it looks like she's got some kind of felony charge. So, just life in the NFL before the start of the season, Pickles. I don't know why it strikes me. I guess because, like I said, I hate to be right, even though if it's something bad. You got a few weeks after the season, and that month before training camp, not this much, but there's usually somebody that gets in trouble. There's usually somebody that gets in trouble. A lot of times maybe they're, they want to party hard. They party too hard. Just they go a little too far with it, and get themselves in trouble. But this is an observation, but there's got to be something to it. In other news, it's a hot day. I tell you, it's been a hot week news-wise, Pickles. Adam Scheffner first of all, these odds have changed. Vegas has chances of coming back and playing in 2021, 2022. The odds are against Rodgers coming back and playing any football this year. And the same thing for Deshaun Watson. And Adam Scheffler was saying of ESPN on Watson, looks like the Eagles got the picks. Let me see what he said something on a radio show, and I want to make sure and get this worded right because I don't want to take him out of context. I don't really like to exaggerate. I like to just get to the facts, okay? He said, telling John Kincaid on 99, I think this is out of New York City, I want to say, 97.5 The Fanatic, that Philadelphia is best equipped for a trade for Watson once his legal situation plays out. The Eagles are more equipped, quote, to run at Deshaun Watson than any other team out there. And if you put Deshaun Watson on the Eagles, they are a Super Bowl contender right away. Yeah. And you know something, Pickles? If I'm the Eagles, that is something to think about. Because if you look, the Eagles, and I wrote this down, I want to make sure I got it all. The Eagles have 2 first-round picks. They have their first-round pick, by the way. Hurts is not going to be that good. They're going to be picking, my guess is, top 5 next year. They'll be picking probably in the top 5 to top 10. They're not going to fall out of the top 10 because Hurts is not going to be that good. And they got Miami's first-round pick. Now, Miami will probably pick 2025, something like that. But if the Colts make the playoffs and Carson Wentz plays 70% of the snaps, then they get the Colts first-round pick, and their first-round pick, which is probably going to be top 5. So you got 3 first-round picks right there. Total potential, and I believe there will be 3 first. You're going to have one in top 5. You may just have to offer 2 of them. Offer the top 5 and the lowest one, and then maybe a player or a second-round pick, and keep your highest pick, and go out there the best offensive lineman you can get. Now, me personally, if it's me, I would potentially offer him something now. Now, that would be bold. But say, for instance, you offer them 3 second-round picks. Their second-round pick or 1 first and 1 second and a future second, because they don't think that the worst that you're going to get is a second-round pick. You're going to get a first or a second out of the Colts. So if you offer that, knowing this guy may be suspended 7-8 games, I just don't think that he's going to I just don't think that he's going to get in that much trouble. I think he'll probably settle this, and I think the league's going to look at this. He'll get suspended. Worst case, 8 games, reduced to 6. Just my opinion. But you can lowball Houston for that. Now, Houston may say, we will hold this out till all that comes through if we have to. That's some real hardball right there. Then they possibly, this move couldn't be made until March of next year or April. God knows when, because of the actual legal course of it. So the odds are real high. He's not going to play a snap in the NFL this year. And I was really surprised, the same for Aaron Rodgers. A.J. Hawk is still holding out hope that Aaron Rodgers is going to come back again. If it's me, and I've got Rodgers' money, and I made this plan in April of 2020, that I'm going to play my butt off the next year, and I'm totally done with the Packers win, lose, or draw in the offseason. So my thing is, I would go all the way with it if I'm Aaron Rodgers. And Rodgers may very well, Denver could very well be that team. But the odds are up against him not playing at all. And that's why I'm just not high on the Green Bay Packers this year. I was looking at some of the odds. They're still pretty highly favored on FanDuel to get to the Super Bowl. But Vegas odds also saying that Rodgers is not going to play. So something's got to give there. But there's no bet that you can bet against them not making the Super Bowl. That would be my bet right off the bat, because they lost their all-pro center as far as Aaron Rodgers is concerned. But I would go all the way with it, you know. But I think that was an interesting – and Mike Florio had a good article going back to Watson, kind of doing these two. He was saying that Watson's situation remains quiet with 2 weeks to go in camp. And he's saying that the league is dragging their feet on whether or not that they want to put Watson, the league, not the legal stuff, on this commissioner exempt list where they pay him not to show up. We talked about that with Frank Clark. He falls under that category. If Frank Clark stays on that commissioner exempt list, well, that just hurts the Chiefs' chances. I guess anything can happen, but he's a great defensive player. Watson, you would think that maybe, and I agree with Florio, and I don't agree with him on a lot of anything. I do think that for the sake of the league, we need certainty as fans. People like me follow the league. I think that we got to know if Watson's going to be on that commissioner exempt list. So basically, he's being held out in limbo. Now, that being said, you got to keep your nose clean out there. You know, I mean, if you're doing all this stuff with these women you barely know, calling them in on Instagram like that and taking those kind of chances is can be risque. So anyways, I will go back to the NFL in a few minutes. The Carolina Panthers had an extension today, and I think they may fall very much in that category of a team that that very much well may slide in as a wild card team. But I'll explain that here in a few minutes. The NBA Finals, I mean, Middleton, 40 points there. Somebody mentioned Drew Holiday guarding Chris Paul. Actually, it was Colin Cowherd and Rick Bucher were talking about that has made a tremendous difference. I still kind of like Phoenix. I didn't watch a lot of that game last night. I did see that key block that Giannis made on DeAndre Ayton. I thought that was really good. I do think that Houston or Phoenix, for the most part, was leading for most of the game. Every time I turned it on, they were up 5, 6, 7, 8 points, 5, 6, 7, 8 points. And then, Milwaukee goes on a surge towards the end and come back and win it. And I think this will probably go 7. Still feel like Phoenix probably has the edge because they got the home court advantage now. But, again, it's anybody's series. It's a win-win situation for the league. The ratings are 12 million at one point. That's good for the NBA. Good, solid, hard-fought games. People were asking, was that one of the greatest defensive plays in history? Comparing it to LeBron James's block, going back to that block by Giannis on DeAndre Ayton at the rim. LeBron's block of Andre Iguodala in Game 7 of the Finals, I think, was bigger. But if you're talking defense, Pickles, you got to throw in winning Game 5, Larry Bird Larry Bird stealing Isaiah Thomas inbound pass to go up 3-2 in the playoffs that year. I want to say that was 86, 87 NBA playoffs, Pickles. So those are some of my all-time favorites. You want to throw in Tayshaun Prince running down Reggie Miller at the other end of the court, pinning the ball against the backboard. That was one of the most athletic plays because of the distance he had to run to catch up with Miller. But Miller was getting a little bit older, long in the tooth there. But I'll tell you, it turned out to be a pretty good game. It's a good series. We're deep into the summer now. Again, we are 8 weeks away, going back to the greatest game on the earth, the most popular game in the United States, greatest game in my opinion on the earth. Tom Brady played with a partially torn MCL and still ends up winning the Super Bowl. Now, my issue with that is the NFL needs to come down on these teams for not properly reporting these injuries. I told you all, I thought Brady had problems getting the ball upfield, but Brady has problems getting the ball upfield late in the season all the time. But torn MCL or not, now he's a tough guy. He's a thinker. That's why I put him pretty high as one of the better quarterbacks. He can outthink the opposition. He plays within himself. But my issue is this stuff seems to happen more and more often because teams are not getting hit hard enough with this. And I know this is really going out on the limb, and this is really, really strict. But you almost want to have a league doctor, not a team doctor, to examine every player once a week before they play a game. And if that league doctor, Pickles, finds out that a player is injured and it's not reported from the team, massive penalties and fines, including losing draft picks and not making a player eligible to play, could become into question and consideration. I just think that we're trying to keep the game, the integrity of the game. And quite frankly, yes, that's for gamblers. But gamblers, major fantasy players like myself, which I consider myself now, we need to know that stuff. Now, remember, they've changed. What was it they changed? I want to say they changed questionable, or they changed one of the questionable probable. It's either doubtful or questionable. I don't think they've changed one of the way of addressing an injury, in the NFL. But apparently, Goodell's not doing enough about it. The owners aren't doing enough about it. So in a league where you have a security team, invest in the security team, NFL security team, they're investigating this Richard Sherman thing. They're investigating Deshaun Watson. They want to do all that. Why don't you do something about these injuries, about this not reporting on injuries, that could affect the outcome of the gambling, which is mainly, doubtful don't play. Is that what it is, Pickles? Okay, let me put that up there. Raiders employees and corrupt physicians, what Pickles says. Yeah, so I just think that the league has to check out everybody. Now, that is costly. I get it. But this is a billion plus organization in the NFL. This league is big time, okay? So that annoyed the crap out of me, everybody. I'm telling you. Okay. What else should I get into? Richard Sherman done got a bunch of his stuff there. Okay. The Carolina Panthers are really flying under the radar. Like I said the other day, that hold on, everybody. Let me switch out my thing here. All right, podcast. I am back. The Carolina Panthers, they have extended their right tackle. This guy is, what is his name? Moulton. I want to make sure I got his name right. I've got it listed on my thing here, and I'm trying to find it. Okay, the Panthers and franchise offensive tackle Taylor Moulton are closing in on a lucrative 4-year, $72 million extension to make him one of the highest paid players at his position, if no snags. That will be done by 4 o'clock Eastern time. He gets $43 million guaranteed. Now that's already passed. That was a tweet by Ian Rappaport. And I was looking at their roster. And now, if you guys recall, I was on the Mac and Jack show, Pickles, on Sunday, saying that the Panthers are a sneaky good team. I feel like they kind of poo-pooed that. They are a team that's the youngest defense they've had by 10 years in the last 10 years. They're one of the youngest defenses in all of the NFL last year, and they were 16th. You have the youngest defense with a first-year college head coach with no mini camps, no preseasons, limited training camp, and you still finished 16th when the offensive players can be heard, when there's no crowds in the stadium. The Carolina Panthers are doing good things up there. I'm not putting them in the Super Bowl, but I'll tell you this: they may be a wild card team. Every year, there's 2 or 3 teams that didn't play the last year. You know, this team has guys like Derek Brown last year, defensive tackle they got out of Auburn. Guy got better every week. They got ran on and smoked very early in the season. Game 1, Josh Jacobs. But, you know, they got a cornerback now. Make sure I get that. At cornerback, last year, this Dante Jackson, very solid, overlooked guy, pretty good to Pro Bowl level at times type of corner. J.C. Horn, there's some were saying that J.C. Horn could potentially be the best cornerback in this draft. There's a lot of arguments on this. And offensive line was supposed to be a big weakness, and they didn't go there. They wouldn't defense. And, you still got guys like Shaq Thomas, Matos Gross. These are a lot of players that I know about because I'm a big football person that the everyday person don't know about. And defensive players aren't fantasy players. But you had the youngest team and you're 16th. You're better than 15 other teams out there. You were better defensively, Pickles. They were better defensively than Tennessee, a team that won their division last year, for example, here out of Nashville. And then you look at their offensive line with this guy re-signed there. But my thing is, at offense, you've got Christian McCaffrey, that Chuba Hubbard guy, the guy from Oklahoma State, Pickles, that made a big deal about his head coach wearing some kind of conservative TV station on his shirt, the OAN shirt. Chuba Hubbard, one of the best running back prospects in America. I think he falls to like a 3rd or 4th round. They got him for a steal. And now he's going to play behind a Christian McCaffrey. Now, and Teddy Bridgewater says something alarming about Matt Rule. He said they didn't work on red zone offense. Now, that could have been sour grapes. for being moved to Denver. But even if he is right, I'm thinking, what if they do work on their red zone offense with Darnold? Now, Darnold, I still feel like there's a ceiling with Darnold, and we have not seen it. Teddy Bridgewater, Alex Smith are the same guys. I've told you guys that from day one. They are players. If everything goes right in the first half, they're not going to lose you a league. They're not going to have that big turnover. They're not going to be careless like a Jameis Winston, for instance. But if you're down by 4 with 2 minutes to go, I don't have a lot of faith that they're going to make those throws to win you the game. They can't lose you a game, but they can't win you one when the money's on the line. They're good stopgap game managing type of quarterbacks. They're good backups. They should be, and they were at times, highly compensated backups that can hold down the fort for 3 or 4 games and not go 1-4 and put your whole season in a tailspin. But that's what I like about the NFL. You always have 1 or 2 teams, like the 49ers a few years ago, come out of nowhere and make it all the way to the Super Bowl. You know, even the Cleveland Browns have been mocked. They actually made the playoffs last year, and they stomped Pittsburgh in the ground. You know, Pittsburgh winning that playoff game, half-stepping, you know, and it didn't end well. It certainly didn't end well in that game. Now, you know, Ben Roethlisberger's talking about coming into shape and all that. I'm like, well, it's kind of late for that, you know. But I'm not saying that they are I'm not saying that they're a playoff team, but I think that they're going to upset some teams they shouldn't, and that they could be I'm not saying they're a Super Bowl team, but they could be a dark horse team, the team that nobody's talking about, but I'm going to talk about it, that could play well into this season. You look at offensive line, running game, young defense, team but just not playing with a lot of pressure. You'll be surprised at what these teams do when nobody's paying attention. Both times the Carolina made the Super Bowl pickles since they've been the, air quote, Carolina Panthers. Nobody had them in the Super Bowl. Jake Delhomme. Cam Newton, yeah, we thought they may be good, but he'd been pretty inconsistent up to that that MVP year. They went 15-1 and got all the way to the Super Bowl, and I think they were simply feeling themselves a little too much against Denver, and they were just a tick off, and then they got their offensive line beat up by that Denver defense. Denver ended up winning. But I ain't saying that, but you could see this team. Maybe a Chicago Bears don't make it. Maybe one of those teams out west in the NFC get injuries that nobody knows, that nobody can see coming. Those things are unpredictable. A team like a Carolina Panthers, I'm starting to believe they may finish better with the injuries at the defense and the lack thereof defense than a team like a Atlanta or somebody, you know. Xavier Howard, their reports is he's still standing strong with and Washington last year. They didn't make it. Nobody had Washington come in. Washington won the NFC East last year. I'll still like Minnesota because they do have a veteran quarterback, the offensive line, the running game's better, all those additions on defense. I'm just saying Carolina's not going to be a stomp. One thing I can say, they're not going to be a stomping ground. Remember, they've almost went up to Green Bay and beat them in Green Bay last year, and Green Bay had the 1 seed. Xavier Howard is standing pat by his. We've got 2 weeks to go, everybody. Less than 2 weeks. We're like 10 days away. Next Friday, it's usually around my birthday on the 23rd. I'm thinking around the 27th, 28th. Going into that next week after that, we'll probably have all 32 teams in camp. Xavier Howard, again, cornerback Miami, one of the better. He's not number one. According to Pro Football Focus, guys like Xavier Jair Alexander, this guy's going to command a payday. Really tall, lean player out of Green Bay. They got him rated number one. Of course, Jalen Ramsey at number 2. And I want to say this guy is right there with them, just slightly below that. I may be a player or two off. I don't think he even drops out of the top 5. But reminding you, he signed a big contract in 2019 to be the highest paid corner. Now he's 6th and he's holding out for more money. And I'm seeing some of these writers saying, well, you know, you can trade him to Arizona. You could trade him to this team, to that team. Yeah, he would be a good fit. But the fact that he's holding out like this, why do you want to trade for a guy like this that's holding out, that is just got paid? He sounds like a me guy. I love Darrelle Revis. I was watching some highlights of him, but I really felt like he caused a lot of disruption with the Jets with his holdouts, you know. But Howard, only way I trade this guy, like I said, I still stand by what I said a few weeks ago about this when it first came to my attention. He would be a guy that I would hold, and I would find the crap out of him. Yeah, Cincinnati can always use a corner, Pickles. I'll put that up there. Oh, you're talking about with the other subject there. Yeah, best tackler, Ramsey, tackler and a cover guy. One of the absolute best, and he gets in the head of these receivers. I do like the way that, talking about Ramsey, getting a little off track here, but the way that DK Metcalf, the way the Seattle Seahawks schemed up a way to get Metcalf open and catch that long pass by Ramsey for a touchdown in that Seattle game. Same thing with Devontae Adams catching that short pass below the line of at the line of scrimmage against them at the Green Bay game. But Howard, I mean, yeah, if you offer me 3 first-round picks and give me one of those type of deals that perhaps maybe a Jamal Adams, Seattle Seahawks type of deal, I would probably do that. But it would have to be 2 first rounds and a second. This guy's right in the prime of his career. And quite frankly, I'm a little bit frustrated with him. I mean, this is a playoff team, but if they trade him a really good corner like this, and then you're not really sure what you got at quarterback, again, Miami's still in the thick for Deshaun Watson. They can figure out something for next year anyways. But this kind of puts my doubts about Miami before they even take a snap. Tua could be excellent. They've moved off their offensive coordinator. I thought he was fine. I just think he wasn't catching on to the playbook. He said he wasn't. And he wasn't even calling audibles, he being Tua. So, but now you got this cornerback. What your best defensive player, Xavier Howard's a great corner. You know, it does put a little bit of doubt in one's head. Okay, the lady that keeps sticking in the news, Maria Taylor. Maria Taylor, ESPN personality, NBC is reporting trying to hire ESPN's Maria Taylor so she can join the Tokyo Olympics coverage that begins in a little more than a week of July the 23rd. The Sports Business Journal reports Taylor's currently hosting NBA Finals, but her contract with the network runs out on July the 20th, Pickles. Now, okay, going back here a little bit. Now, talking about Maria Taylor. Again, New York Times puts out a recording of Rachel Nichols a year ago complaining about Taylor covering the finals when she did not taking her spot during the George Floyd thing, saying it was a diversity thing. I kind of threw Nichols under the bus because I felt like she was being really phony and all that stuff then. But let me just tell you this. The timing on that looks very suspicious of that tape being leaked out. It really looks like that Maria Taylor, and they have already discussed this in-house, ESPN. Rachel has apologized prior to this, but now she had to make the public apology. And Taylor would not even have her on the final show under live. That's what kind of ego she's got. She wouldn't communicate with her live publicly. So everything had to be taped. Maria Taylor, it looks like somebody from her camp leaked this out. If I'm ESPN, Maria Taylor is not a highly opinionated type of personality that drives the needle. The latest reports, they're offering $3 million. Well, before that, it was $5 million. So she's got some diva-like ways about her. She's on a fast track. She's 34 years old. I want to say Rachel Nichols is like 47, 13 years difference there. And even Steven Jackson, former NBA player, says, us black people in private conversations, we get mad because white people get the jobs that we know we're more qualified for with less experience because of a legacy hire or something like that. So he's like, I'm not mad at Rachel Nichols for that. We're supposed to be in a private conversation. But my thing is, Taylor is kind of letting this go into her head a little bit, and she's not having proper perspective. And I kind of agree with guys like Jason Whitlock saying that she's overplaying this victim card, and it's being seen. I would let her walk. I wouldn't think her Q rating, as much as I either agree with Stephen A. Smith or don't, Stephen A. Smith is an opinionated guy. I think he's in his 50s, guys. Of course, Nichols had the stuff in her contract. Now, the fact that the optics of Rachel Nichols would look bad if you kept her on. I would probably weed her out too, and just start over. Quite frankly, there's a lot of people I would weed out of ESPN. Start with the top down. Again, I told you guys about John Skipper and all this. And listening to personalities I agree with and I disagree with outside of this, not to beat a dead horse, is my conclusion of what it's really like up there. It's not really in the upper management, far left-wing politics that want to push it. It's just weak. They don't make strong decisions. They want to cater to everybody instead of saying, here's the rule. You do it, you break it, here's the penalties. Suspension, fired, or zero tolerance, fired. Just pick the best person for the job. Whoever's got that. Disney life. Yeah, they are soft as tissue papers, Brian. And look at all I was just talking about Taylor possibly going to NBC. If I'm Maria Taylor, I know that vibe is out there. I know that everybody thinks I leaked that, even if it was a friend of hers that did it or an agent that talked her into it. I would walk away, get a new start a new job. ESPN has to get rid of this divisiveness and stop listening to Twitter. Stop listening to the Twitter and going crazy about every little thing and get back to the core sports and cover the games. These finals are turned out to be great. The finals, and they own ABC. ABC, it's all on. They were like at a 12-9 pickles. That's good. That's good. It was all about the basketballs, all about the relations. You could still talk about stuff outside of the game. For instance, Giannis I was reading a long article, Pickles, about 2 years ago about Giannis. This guy has a well of a routine. His naps he takes before games, his workout regimens. You could see his toughness. Look how fast he is healed up from that energy or from that injury that we thought he was going to be out for a while. Get back to those type of human interest stories. Stop being so divisive at ESPN and stop letting these people run over you. And I think that you guys can do it. No, I just think that they've overspent. And I think that part of it is cord cutting. They've overspent on covering the playoffs. Part of it's cord cutting. The other part is trying to get involved in these non-sports social issues that has killed them. Nothing to do with sports. Again, the studies, the data backs me up. The data says that people go to sports to get away from all that stuff. You have Fox, you got CNN on the other side, and MSNBC, you got NPR for that stuff. You've got conservative radio. There's enough of that over there. You got all that garbage over there. Like Jay-Z said in a song, I don't agree with a lot what Jay-Z said, but he says, I came to the club to get that off my mind. I come to sports to watch the game. I want to just see how Chris Middleton can hold up, Can he still carry the torch as the number 2 there? Can he put 35, 40 on the road like he did at home? He's had a really good offseason. Can Chris Paul bounce back from being having an awful game? And it used to be compelling. There was a time period with the Stuart Scotts and Dan Patrick, Rich Eisen. I know he's been with the NFL Network for 15, 18 years, but those are great days. It was compelling. There's so many stories that you kind of sense that there's this laziness. And, guys like Whitlock, he goes into that. He says it's because Deadspin started writing these ridiculous stories that were so far over the top about ESPN, they felt scared. And so they started, that's part of them going with these social issues. And like Pickles, you made a good point. You made a good point earlier. It should be, and let me go back to Maria Taylor for a minute. If I'm all about when I talk to you guys every day about this, if she's got a higher Q rating, I don't care how long that it's been there. It's all about the bottom line. If her Q rating is higher than Rachel Nichols, or if Rachel Nichols has got a higher Q rating, stick with whoever's got the higher Q rating, the likability rating. Neither one of them are opinionated. That's why you love them or hate them. Skip Bayless, Colin Coward, Stephen A. Smith. These guys are getting several $1 million. And I read something about Stephen A. Smith's production team or something in that nature that he makes $12 million a year now. But he drives that needle. Love him or hate him. That's the same thing with these guys in radio. These are really strong opinion guys. They drive the rating. So, anyways, just win, baby. Go with that. I noticed that first we had a baseball game get canceled tonight. The first night since December 24th of 2020, no Major League U.S. sporting events. Oh, no, never mind. I think that was something to do with a COVID thing. It's just, never mind. Let me see what else I got going on here, fellas. Let's see. Again, we are 8 weeks, 56 days away from Steelers. From Tampa and Dallas. We talked about the Maria Taylor thing. Headlines. That's about it for right now. I would find the heck out of Xavier Howard, that cornerback again. And not to beat the dead horse, if you're going to get a guy like that from me, you're to come off 2 or 3 draft picks and a cornerback of your own. Kind of like the Jets did with Seattle last year, okay? So, the guy's the 6th highest paid player in the league. It's not like he's like in the NFL league minimum. Guys, I know this show at times has been great, and other times it's simply not been up to par. I'm working on a few ideas to get where I can get Sports Scope done 5 days a week. I'm working on ways to monetize this thing because I realize that views that sometimes it's just not as consistent as it should be. And I apologize. I'm out here working 12 hours a day, and hopefully I can cut that down to about 9, like somebody normal. And then I'll give me 2 or 3 hours to prepare on this. Next week, we've got SEC Media Days for college football. I'm going to try to talk as much college football, particularly the SEC, as I can. The big teams. Who's interesting? Who's going for it? I want to be big time. I want to talk big sports. I don't know if I'm going to get into the crappy teams and team by team breakdown, but I want to get into who could be a surprise in college. I'm going to shoot for the SEC next week. I think the Big 12 had some stuff today. I'm going to get into that. We're going to talk college football, Heisman Trophy potential candidates coming in, real contenders, hot coaches. I always like to see what coach is going to be hot for maybe the NFL next year or for a bigger job in college this year. Jim Harbaugh may be on the hot seat at Michigan. Stuff like that. We've got a lot of good stuff going on in Now, Brian, I will say this. Here's a preview for you. Wisconsin, Phil Steele, one of the smartest guys in college football, writer. We've got a magazine that's the thickest magazine, one of the thickest magazines I've seen. He's got Wisconsin as a surprise team next year. He says he thinks Penn State bounces back big time next year, but he says his number one surprise team next year in a few weeks, would be Washington. He likes their schedule, but my thing is I don't think Washington's going to be that good because they lost their coach a few years ago. But he's saying he likes that particular. I can't remember the guy's name, but that particular coach's players. And he just loves their home and away schedule. So we'll see. I like Oregon too. Most people like Mario with Cristobal's players. He's a well of a recruiter, but they've got to play Ohio State. They've got some really tough road games in the Pac-12. But he's saying that Washington is he's got a list of quite a few surprise teams. Washington's one of them, and Wisconsin was one of them. Those are, of course, Penn State, but, James Franklin is not going to put 2 bad years in a row. Those are the teams that he mentioned that they're going to be surprise teams and could have a major blowout year, possibly shooting for a playoff bid. So I'm going to try to get into that next week, but I'm going to read it like crazy this weekend. So if you guys like the show, please share the show. If you want to, hold on, Brian, what'd you say? Yeah, I know, Washington, right? If you want to contribute to the program, you can go to the Zelle app and sportsscope@gmail.com, the word sports with an S and the word SKOPE@gmail.com if you want to contribute to the program. And again, I will be on the Mac and Jack Show, everybody. I will be on the Mac and Jack Show Sunday at around 9 p.m. Or 7:30 a.m. Central Time. So have a good week, everybody. Otherwise, I will see you here Tuesday at 9 p.m. Central Time on Sports Scope. Thanks, guys.